Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Parallax EduChat for September. We have a short meeting today. Let's get started. I wanted to remind you about upcoming events. We have many classes that you can follow on demand. And then the next EduChat meetings coming up too. Also, an update regarding the the Parallax migration, the website that we are moving. Let me see if I can get out of the presentation and I can actually show you live the process. On your right, you can see the actual Learn website where we have the curriculum. On the left, you can see the one we are working on right now. We are trying to preserve as many links as we can and make the appearance as similar as possible. So if you have any presentations, any curriculum, any material that links to this website, we will try to preserve it the best we can. For example, there will be some difference. Let me show you the Cyberbot curriculum on the new platform. There could be some extra clicks to get there. There you go. This is what it looks. On the left is the new platform. On the right, the old one. Build the Cyberbot, for example. In our current platform, usually you see the whole chapter, you see the introduction and all the navigation on the left. In the new platform, you will just have to click continue and a new format with the navigation shows up on the left. But you will see that, for example, the items are the same. Center the servos first, center the servos first, and you see the material is there. So it's coming along, but we are still having some issues to preserve the links. As you can notice, the links are not exactly the same, and we are going after that right now on the final push to get the migration finished. Ideally, you wouldn't even notice that we just migrate the website.
So Ari, what you're doing is, so people understand, we have to move from the older tools we were using to something modern in WordPress.
Correct. The older tools are no longer maintained. They are obsoleted. They are being obsoleted. That means we are not going to get any more security updates. That means the website is going to be vulnerable if we don't move it to a current system. So we are in that process. So once we move to the new platform, the security updates will apply and everything will be fine.
And people should not even notice.
That's the goal. We are having a struggle at the end to preserve those links. Ideally, if you have a PowerPoint or a website that has a link, our goal is that when students click there, eventually they will go to the new website, but to the same content. So you don't have to update anything. That's the goal. So next, we will hear from Andy regarding the update of the microbit editor material from version 2 to the new version 3.
Okay, shall I share my screen? Or, yes, I'm going to share my screen now. Host has disabled participant screen sharing. By default, not intentionally, I'm sure.
Let me see. Can you try again?
Okay. Yes. It came through this time.
Okay.
All right, so here we are. So here is the old Learn site before migration, and I'm still working in this one, and then changes that I make here will end up being transferred over to the migrated website at various points in time. One thing that means is that you and your students will likely see some of these changes occurring as you go to the site day by day. You might run across something where it used to be one way and now it's another. I tried to minimize the changes as much as possible. For example, and by the way, this is for changing the microbit Python editor. So if you currently go to python.microbit.org, it automatically redirects you to the V3, the version 3 editor, which looks like this. And the V2 editor that we originally developed all of our microbit material on, or the majority of our not V1, V2. So version 2 looks like this. It has a very different user interface. And so essentially all the screen captures, all the instructions, all the links related to this had to be updated when in response to microbit updating from this editor, the version 2 editor, to this editor, the version 3 editor right here. Okay, and so to that end, what we're doing is we're going through and we're updating the website. This is an example of a site that I'm saving for last, the What's a Microcontroller with Python and the Microbit site. So when you go here, there's still the old software setup for the Microbit site page, which looks like this, and it's version 2 and view related. There's also a how to save and reopen using version 2. So those two tiles used to be in all of our sites. And we've been partially migrating. So those tiles were over here on the right. And what I did was I removed them. And then in getting started with the Microbit and Python, to get to that old software setup, there's just a software in versions that talks about, hey, this is the current version. You're learning how to use the Microbit Python editor version 3, but there's an older, or there's a link with documentation for the Python editor version 2 and the locally installed code with Mu system. And so those are both still in that other tile. So this is where you can find those tiles that disappeared, is by following this link, because the tiles are no longer, well, they're here and here because this is What's a Microcontroller, which I haven't updated yet. But when it comes to, say, the Cyberbot site, now those links are, or those tiles corresponding to those getting started pages are gone. And in their place, we have this really nice getting started with Python and the Microbit updated for version 3. And each page has a video that takes students step by step through, in this case, connecting the Microbit and loading their first script into it. And the video is a YouTube video, and there's also step-by-step instructions and screen captures that cover the exact same material that the video covers. And so there's a section for how to flash a script into the Microbit. How to save and edit scripts has also a video and equivalent step-by-step instructions. We've got some editor controls, a little editor control section, and then using the serial monitor, all the same format with a video and the identical step-by-step instructions with screen captures below. So that's the first step. And then what's in process is I'm going through now and updating the step-by-step instructions in other sections. Pardon me, need to get the Zoom menu out of the way here. Okay. Next up, what I wanted to show you is sorry for the delay. The tabs were not responding. It looks like now they're responding though. Okay, here we go. So here's an example of one of the getting started tutorials. So for example, after the getting started tile with the video setup instructions for the microbit, you can go to writing microbit programs, computer microbit talk. If you have a cyberbot, adding modules to your microbit, those are all updated. And then things that are in process, like dictionary primer, just recently changed. And I just wanted to show you what that change looks like. Okay, so here we are in dictionary primer. And basically what I'm doing is I'm putting reminders on the first program that students get to. So the first time they have to write a script, what they'll see is a little setup section that reminds them of the things that they might need to know related to enter name and save the script below and then flash it. Well, if students come straight here to this chapter and possibly skip other chapters, they may have missed some of this. And so we have some reminders here for them. I've also included those reminders on first use. So this is the navigation with the Cyberbot tile. See if I can take us back and just show you where that came from. One more. Okay, so navigation with the Cyberbot here. When there are some updates on the front page, or actually this front page did not have any updates, but once we get to, again, the first use of the script, I put reminders in. So for example, make sure the cyberbot.py module is added to project files for the Cyberbot. There's a link back to how to add modules to your microbit that has a video and step-by-step checklist instructions. Likewise for naming, editing, and saving the scripts, and then flashing scripts into the Python editor. Now, by the end of the chapter, and I usually include reminders for, say, the first couple of activities where students are writing scripts. And then by the end, we trust that they've gotten in the habit of that. So I've left those additional instructions out at this point. So I try to really focus on making sure that the students are well supported on, well, I always focus on making sure that the students are well supported, but in the context of this, it's important to get them into the habit of things on first use, but by the end of the chapter, they're almost certainly in the rhythm of doing all the things that they need to do when they're operating the microbit Python editor and entering their scripts and saving them and all those things. So at this point, we're deeming, hey, we don't need those reminders here. Now, if you're seeing otherwise, please send us feedback. We want to hear about that and then adjust as needed. Okay, another example further in, this is navigation control from a keyboard, and some of the things that will come last are the animated GIF files. This is an example of one that used to be for the version 2 with the black background on the script, the version 2 editor with the black background, and now this is the version 3 editor. And in addition to the animated GIF that's sitting here playing in the web page, you can now open an MP4 version of that, and your students can play it, or you can play it for your students and talk about each step. And this is sitting directly on the Learn site as opposed to in YouTube. So if any of you don't have access to YouTube, you will still be able to see these video explanations of adjusting scripts, for example. And that's all I have to say. These are in progress. So you might see, for example, I will go to one area that I have not finished. I'm going through strings primer right now. And so characters inside strings is a point where students know to enter name and save a script, because when they first ran their first script in this chapter, they got those familiar reminders. So that's all updated. But if we go further in, right now, and this won't be for long at all, this is the old wording. The enter the script and save it as is going to be replaced by enter the script, set the name, and then save it, which is consistent with how the new editor is used. And so that is the kind of changes you will see coming through. Most of the images have already been updated so that they're either generic between version 2 or version 3 of the editor. And so now I'm going through and updating instructions and links. And then there are other areas like the what's a microcontroller for the microbit that I mentioned earlier, where that will come after the cyberbot and the cybersecurity tutorials. And that's it for the explanation of the microbit editor version 3 update.
Thank you, Andy. And we have an update from Ken next. I think Ken wants to use a screen.
Andy, that's super good. Good luck. Keep going.
Oh, thank you, Ken. I was very surprised to see how many little moving pieces there are in this update.
Yeah, well, we all know how much work this is, and this is what it takes to make this curriculum last forever. It has to be continually updated. So the project I'd like to talk about is block coding for the cyberbot within the Microsoft microbit environment. And this is a project that we started, about 2 to 3 years ago with our partner cyber.org. And we stopped development, but we're now resuming it with the plan of releasing block coding environment by the end of this year. So the audience for this is anybody who wants to code in blocks. We think that it will reach the elementary students quite well, and definitely middle school. Although every now and then we hear from high schools that are using block coding, and some people just like to work in blocks. And I'm a real believer in block coding, as you know, from our Blockly prop examples. And you could do real work with block coding if it's designed properly. So this environment right now has the cyberbot, some of the cyberbot commands in it. So we're just working on adding all of them. I'm just showing you some of the navigational stuff, and they're right at the moment, there are calibration routines. So if you look at my program here, this is to handle servo centering, but we will likely only provide this with our pre-centered or pre-calibrated servos. So the student doesn't have to worry about this. We want to make this as easy to use as possible because they're going to be wiring circuits, and there will be room to make things that don't work. But the nice thing about block coding is that it all compiles correctly. Your code may not do what you want it to do, but it will compile. So you might be able to choose wrong IO pins and this sort of thing. So we're currently making decisions about how much we'll be locking this down to make it a high success rate, but also give enough freedom to keep it very functional and flexible. So this particular code, as I was just playing around with, I was using the calibrate block, and I just put a letter H on the robot, and then I set it forward for a second. So I think you can just see the robot run around here for a second, and then it stopped. And as you see, I was making adjustments to the servos in my last block there to really center them. So this is the kind of thing that we're thinking about right now. So you can expect to see block coding from us. As far as the tutorials, we will be doing a complete copy and paste, and then simplifying them down. So reducing them down to very easy to follow, very easy to read, and using the same familiar schematics that you're already used to, like Andy has drawn right now for the current Cyberbot series. So the schedule for it, as I mentioned, is end of the year. We have a new person working with us on this who's worked on the Blockly prop block coding environment with me in the past. So we hope to make good speed, and our partner cyber.org is also helping out with the library that talks to the propeller on the CyberBot board. So that's where we are with this. It's really cool. So far, I've just been playing with it a lot and enjoying it, and it works great. So are there any questions about this, Ari or Andy, that I can answer?
It's nice to actually see it, because sometimes we talk about projects and being able to see the blocks and the robot moving, it gives a sense that it's actually happening.
Yeah, it is. It's really easy to play with, and I think what I'll do is I'll probably make a post on our news section of the website and make this content, make the current in progress work available so that people can just start messing around with it the same way we are. So as you see, I just added the tone. I don't know if you could hear that or not.
The Zoom system is really good about filtering out piezo speaker beeps.
Is
It's
it?
uncanny. Yes. Yes, I've tried to
Okay.
get one through my microphone time and again, and it never works.
Happening, huh? Yeah, so this is probably, next to Andy's updating, probably the biggest educational development we have going on with the microbit. So
Eh,
thanks a
we-
lot, Ari, for letting me share this. And
Good.
to all the followers of the video, if you go to the Parallax website and then you click on community and news, you will find a story where you can follow this and also run the code that we're running.
Actually, Ken, could you bring that back up for a second? I'd like to see one thing.
Sure. There you are.
Okay. In the, oh, where did it go? Ah, yes. Okay, so you see in the top center where it says blocks and then JavaScript.
Yep.
Let's see what, so it does still convert it all to code. Very nice.
Yeah. So that,
And then there's probably, if, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, that JavaScript has to talk to the propeller.
And then if you hit the drop down, there's Microsoft's version of Python in there too. And I just want to point out that that is not the same as the Python in the microbit editor version 3. So this is Microsoft's very different version of Python, or rather the API is just different.
Yeah, this will not run in our tutorials.
No, but it is something that some students may want to see as a, you know, okay, you did the blocks and this is the real code that was generated from it.
Yep.
Very nice. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I have a couple more announcements. Let's see there. So yeah, remember that we still have the on-demand workshops on the website. For example, we are shipping this week hardware for a couple of these that we have been collecting from teachers. So you can go, they are listed under events. So in the Parallax community events, you will see the on-demand workshops there. And also, going to go to the last slide here. We have some requests about doing workshops in person, or sometimes through via Zoom, joining online. So if you have any of those, please email to education@parallax.com, and we are following to see how we can implement those. Sometimes we go in person when we can form a group about, we need 20, 25 teachers, and we go there. And some other events, they go used to work with some people remotely, so we can actually Zoom in. We will be doing that in Tucson, Arizona this December. So if you have any questions, you can just let us know. The email is on the screen. It's education@parallax.com. And if you send your request there, or if you want to host a class, just let us know. So anything else? Anything else from Andy or Ken?
That is it for today.
Thank you, Ari. Thank you, Andy.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Bye now.